We're going to step out of the 905 area code right now and move into the 716 area code across the border to Buffalo, talking to Craig Turner from the World Trade Center, Buffalo, Niagara. Craig, thanks for joining us today. And you are working together with interest here on the Canadian side as well as on the American side about reopening the border, getting back to business as usual. University of Buffalo, Brock University involved in these talks as well. Where are we standing on this binational prosperity initiative?
Sure. So the binational prosperity initiative has actually been around for about 5 years. And it's spearheaded by the University of Buffalo and Brock University. I've been involved from the beginning. It's a great initiative, and the intent, which has now come up in this very real situation for us, is to bring stakeholders on both sides of the border together to see how we can work together. We who live in the region know that our region is very interconnected. We're not going to be able to get everything we want into an agenda, but there's a lot of things that we can work on together that make a lot of sense. Fast forward to right now, and the border comes up, the border reopening, and here's a perfect place to put this collaboration into motion. And we were very pleased to get about 15 groups together and put a letter together to U.S. and Canadian decision makers on the border opening.
One of the big recommendations in that letter is to take a look at this border. It's the largest, the longest undefended border between two countries in the world, but you're suggesting a regional approach at reopening the borders. The border from Vancouver over to Washington State should not be treated the same way as the border between Buffalo and Fort Erie, is what you're saying.
There's a phrase we use that the border policy can't be one size fits all, and that goes for what you just described, the length of the U.S.-Canadian border, but also the U.S.-Mexico border on our side. A lot of the decisions that are made in Washington are based on what's going on at the Mexican border, which is a very, very different situation. Here in our region, we feel it every day. We know the Canadian shoppers coming across the border and shopping at the Galleria and the Fashion Outlet Mall are paying sales tax that is keeping our police and our public works going. We know that U.S. folks crossing the border into Canada are supporting the economy and tourism and the wineries and all kinds of different things. So that isn't, if you're sitting inside the Beltway in Washington, you're not necessarily seeing that, or in Ottawa too. So the whole purpose of this collaboration to put this letter together was really to take a proactive approach as they're sitting down to make policy decisions on when to reopen the border and how to reopen the border. We said, let's not wait for them to give us something to react to. Let's jump in with recommendations right now and try and get them into the mix.
To be clear, there are businesses that are operating across the borders, delivering goods, perhaps offering services cross-border as well. But really here in the Niagara region, one of the big things that will hurt us the most is the longer time that the border is closed to tourism.
Absolutely. Both sides of the border, it's just so incredibly important. Yes, freight is moving across the border. That was one thing from our perspective at World Trade Center. It was good that they addressed that early on and made sure that there was still a free flow of trade across the border. That being said, the free flow of people across the border is so important to our region on both sides of the border. And if the longer that goes, the longer the pain's going to be.
Do you have a timeline in mind when you would like to see more free movement of people across the border?
Yeah, we're watching very closely to what the two capitals are doing, and it looks like it's now later in June is the next piece. Is it going to open that day? I don't know. Given the tenor of the situation, we have to kind of see what happens with numbers related to COVID-19, but. We'll continue to push. We think there's a great opportunity for tourism. Sometimes after difficult times, a place like Niagara Falls becomes a great place for a vacation. You think about after 9/11, when people weren't flying as much as they were before. Niagara Falls became a place for them. They created the word staycation, which was people looking for where can I get away, but within 7 or 8 hours of my home. And we happen to be here in this region, which is 7 or 8 hours away from, I think, 55% of the North American population. So, talking with the tourism agencies who did sit on our committee here, there's a tremendous opportunity here. So we need to be ready for when things start to open up.